The Senate will come to orders. Members, staff, and guests, this morning we have the Valkyrie Cadet Squadron Color Guard from Wings Over the Rockies of the Civil Air Patrol to present the colors. And members of the Color Guard include Cadets Kyle Herricks, Dura Nirolu, Daniel Pershing, and Kelton Erickson. We also are privileged to have Cadet Samuel Robinson here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Cadet Erickson.
Close there. Hurt. Color guard. Hold. Present. Arms. Post. Order. Arms. Mark time. March. Color turn. March.
Cadet Robinson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Majors, would you please take the roll?
Aguilar. Balmer. Baumgartner. Brophy. Cadman. Crowder. Grantham. Guzman. Harvey. Heath. Herpin. Hill. Hodge, John, Johnston, Jones, Kafalis, Kerr, King, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Newell, Nicholson, Renfro, Rivera, Roberts, Sheffel, Schwartz, Stedman, Tocktrop, Todd, Ulibarri, Zenzinger. Madam President.
Here. With 35 present, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate has a quorum. Motion to adopt the journal. Senator Hill.
Good morning, Madam President. I move that the reading of the Journal of Friday, March 7th be dispensed with and the Journal be approved as corrected by the illustrious Cindy Markwell.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. That motion is adopted. Committee reports.
March 7, 2014, Committee on Appropriations. After consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 51 be amended as follows and also amended before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation with the recommendation placed on the consent calendar. March 7, 2014, Committee on Appropriations. After consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends the following Senate Bill 117 before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation.
Senate Services.
March 10, 2014, correctly printed, Senate Bills 153 and 154, correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 125, Senate Joint Resolution 17, correctly revised House Bill 1172, correctly re-revised House Bills 1183, 1215, and 1229.
Message from the House.
March 7, 2014, Madam President, the House has adopted a return with Senate Joint Resolution 17.
Message from the Reviser.
March 7, 2014, we herewith transmit without comment House Bill 1257 without comment as amended House Bill 1242.
Introduction of bills.
Senate Bill 155 by Senator Stedman and Representatives May and Duran concerning grant funding for medical marijuana health effects studies.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 1089 by Representative Hamner and Senator Schwartz concerning the qualification for a person to use the 10th Mountain Division license plate.
Transportation.
House Bill 1148 by Representative Fields and Senator John concerning guidelines for ensuring the rights of victims of crime to participate in the criminal justice system.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1186 by Representative Schaefer and Senator Aguilar concerning the release of medical records to a person other than the patient in connection therewith setting reasonable fees to be paid for the release of the medical records.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 1274 by Representative Kraftharp and Senator John concerning the modification of certain limitations on the managers of a bank chartered by Colorado.
Business, Labor, and Technology. Majority Leader Heath.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we proceed out of order for the purpose of considering Senate Joint Resolution 18.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. We will proceed out of order for purposes of considering Senate Joint Resolution 18. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 18?
Senate Joint Resolution 18 by Senator Lambert and Representative Riding concerning celebration of Colorado Civil Air Patrol Day.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Senate Joint Resolution 18. I ask it to be read at length.
Mr. Majors, would you please read Senate Joint Resolution 18? And members, if we could have your attention. Mr. Majors.
Whereas Civil Air Patrol is a congressionally chartered auxiliary of the United States Air Force, and the Colorado Wing of Civil Air Patrol has over 900 adult volunteers and over 870 cadet volunteers serving their state in air and ground search and rescue, cadet programs, and aerospace education. And whereas the Colorado Wing has 17 single-engine aircraft, 22 vehicles, and a robust statewide multi-channel communications network linking the 35 squadrons throughout the state. And whereas the Colorado Wing conducted 26 search and rescue operations resulting in 18 successful finds and 1 life saved in 2013. And whereas the Colorado Wing provided 10 aircraft, 12 vehicles, 94 volunteers, 2,700 volunteer hours and more than 9,000 photographs for the state and the Federal Emergency Management Agency in support of Colorado's flood rescue and recovery operations. And whereas the Colorado Wing provided volunteers, aircraft, and ground vehicles to assist emergency responders with the Black Forest fire emergency and the Waldo Canyon Highway 24 floods. And whereas Colorado Cadet Squadrons have won honors in drill and color guard competitions and continue to provide cadet volunteers to support community events and disaster exercises, thereby increasing their awareness of the importance of being good citizens. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 69th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that March 10th, 2014 be designated Colorado Civil Air Patrol Day at the Colorado State Capitol, and that the members of the Colorado Wing be congratulated on the significant accomplishments of their many missions during the past year and their continued excellence in providing leadership and guidance to cadet squadrons, fostering an attitude of selfless community service and an abiding interest in aerospace education, and that the Colorado Wing be congratulated for its demonstrated readiness and willingness to augment and assist sheriffs, search and rescue forces, and other emergency responders across Colorado and the nation. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to Governor John Hickenlooper, Major General Charles L. Carr, Jr., National Commander of the Civil Air Patrol, Major General H. Michael Edwards, Adjutant General for Colorado, and Colonel Earl Sherwin, Commander of the Colorado Wing Civil Air Patrol.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. Please be seated. The Civil Air Patrol in Colorado is very active, as you got a little bit of a summary of what they've been doing this last year in 2013. In fact, Colorado is kind of rare because the Civil Air Patrol is organizationally under our Adjutant General, Major Edwards, under the National Guard Commander. That's not the case in all the states, but it helps us integrate a lot more of the Civil Air Patrol activities, especially for things like search and rescue, for fire and flood relief or support into our military operations here in the state. Just a couple of interesting statistics. There were 26 actual air and ground searches last year for overdue missing aircraft. There was another one this weekend, as I recall, and what didn't get accounted in the 2013 statistics was just this year there was an Alzheimer's patient that they were able to find, probably save his life because he was wandering around. They actually went out and searched for him and successfully found him. And they were credited for actually saving one gentleman's life in 2013. They also do support quite a few of our state and federal military operations here in Colorado, including 60 counter-drug sorties working for the county sheriffs and federal law enforcement agencies. They have supported operations in Pinyon Canyon with 49 flights to support Army UAV operations down there. They've had over 3,000 volunteer hours that they put toward the flood recovery effort, including 77 sorties that took nearly 10,000 geospatially tagged photos for FEMA, and they're all uploaded on the FEMA public website to give us better situational awareness of the damage that happened in that flood area. Almost at the same time, they were flying sorties down around the city of Colorado Springs, Highway 24, and the Waldo Canyon area because of the floods down in that area. Support on wildfires. They were one of the first to respond to report one fire in the Black Forest area, and their chaplains, they have several hundred chaplains in the Civil Air Patrol that do provide pastoral care and counseling through the state to help victims, cope with some of the problems that they've had to cope with. They actually have 17 aircraft here, 22 vans, including four-wheel drive vehicles. They're integrated into a state communication system and very busy. In addition to that, they have all their educational programs, and I would invite you to look at their little handout we put on your desks this morning. Gives you a little overview of the cadet educational programs, their operational missions, and what they do for the state of Colorado. Later on, if you're not a member, I probably have a list of your names, and I will find you and give you an application. There are very few people in the Senate and House right now that are not members, at least honorary members of the Civil Air Patrol, so we'd be glad to have your attention and participation on that. I first got interested in this because the Civil Air Patrol was actually started the week before World War II started. The week before Pearl Harbor is the best information they have. And they were immediately thrown into the national war effort and actually did thousands of sorties where my mother served in California to use private Civil Air Patrol aircraft as volunteers to go out and look for Japanese submarines. So they actually found a lot of them, and I think in one case they actually sunk one, but of course it was primarily to spot them so the U.S. military could go out and defend the coast. So it's a long heritage, and I would thank you for being informed on that and getting a little bit more into the heritage of the Civil Air Patrol here in Colorado.
Senator Herpin.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to speak to my experience as a former Civil Air Patrol cadet in the Rapides Parish Cadet Squadron, Civil Air Patrol Squadron, Louisiana. I was a cadet from 1959 to 1962, rising to the position of cadet commander of the Rapides Cadet Squadron. But the thing that really sticks out in my mind was being selected in 1961 for the International Air Cadet Exchange Program, in which 5 Civil Air Patrol cadets of the United States were selected. Several different groups, but 5 at a time were selected, along with a Civil Air Patrol adult leader and an Air Force officer, to participate in an international air cadet exchange in which U.S. Civil Air Patrol cadets would go to foreign countries and cadets in similar programs in foreign countries that come to the United States. I got selected to go to Greece and spent 3 weeks traveling throughout Greece as a part of that program, and that's certainly an experience that I will never forget. My participation in the Civil Air Patrol prepared me for a career in the military, although I suspect the wing commander might be disappointed to learn I spent 15 years of it in the submarine service, but wised up and realized that I really belonged to the Air Force and actually did an inter-service transfer and retired from the Air Force in 1985. The Civil Air Patrol is a great program for our young folks. It teaches them leadership, it teaches them history, it also allows them to participate in things that support our state, the search and rescue missions and other things that the cadets get involved in. So thank you, Senator Lambert, for bringing forward this resolution. I fully support it. This is a great program for our young people and our adults.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. I just thought I'd come up a minute. I used to fly for the Civil Air Patrol from the mid-'70s to the early '80s. Basically, when a plane went down in basically southern Colorado, mountains areas or whatnot, they would call upon us to go out and search. And I will tell you that I thought before the Civil Air Patrol that I knew how to fly. And you get into these always the toughest weather conditions you could imagine, and I learned a lot from it. You know, unfortunately we never found any survivors, but we were involved in quite a few searches. But the Civil Air Patrol is a very much appreciated organization for what they do. Normally when we find a downed aircraft, what we do is turn it over to the ground rescue, and they would hike in, sometimes over extremely rough terrain, to search for survivors. But it was a great experience of my life, and I always appreciated what the Civil Air Patrol did for society as well as the flight industry. And I want to thank Senator Lambert for bringing this forward. I think it's a very worthwhile organization, and I am in full support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator Todd.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Madam President. And I rise in support of Senate Joint Resolution 18, and thank you very much for bringing it forward. I can remember as a teacher having students that were involved in the Civil Air Patrol, and one of the things that I thought really held them a little bit different than some of the other students in my classroom is their level of leadership, the responsibility and discipline that really came forward. The attitude of service that really came through as a student in the classroom based on their experience with Civil Air Patrol. And I remember distinctly one student, when you think about over 25 years of teaching, that this young man, Nick Walsh, and his mom was their leader. And the impact that he and his mom had over so many of the other students at West Middle School in Cherry Creek, and it was a very monumental impact. But one of the things that we sometimes forget is that it takes a volunteer, and it takes a volunteer to come in and be that leader. And so that is something that those of you that spoke this morning, finding other leaders in your communities and all of us to lead our young men and women, because this is so very important in terms of aerospace and really promoting quality young men and women for the state of Colorado and nationally. So thank you again, and I rise in support of this very important resolution.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in support of Senate Joint Resolution 18, and I thank Senator Lambert for always bringing this forth. I want to personally thank all the members of the Civil Air Patrol, because on a very, very cold, wet, rainy day, April 30th, my son's father's plane went down in Rocky Mountain National Park. Immediately, the grid search began, and they worked for 4 days to find a plane that was so demolished. It was almost impossible to see it. I'll never forget that Thursday afternoon when we got the call that said, "We're coming in for coffee." They'd found it. It was a very difficult plane to find because of the color, and where it was up in the granite peaks of Comanche Peak, west of Fort Collins. My son's very, very sad, but very happy that they knew their father was not suffering. That was the one thing that was in their minds, as most children say. We just want to know he's okay. We just want to know that he's not up there and maybe he has a broken leg, or you know how children's minds go. Well, they found him. Helicopters were dispatched. They went down. It was getting dark, but they did find that no survivors. And it was closure for our family, because many of those wrecks aren't found. And the grid that they made over Rocky Mountain National Park, it was incredible. The updates that we got as a family, it was incredible. And to know how these people are so dedicated to what they do, and then to know that you may not even meet them, but they did your family such a service, such a service. And I never did get to meet the pilots and the people who flew those planes that found a member of our family. So I would like to thank so very much the Civil Air Patrol for everything they do, but especially from the bottom of the hearts of my sons and my stepsons and daughters and our family, cousins. Thank you so very, very much for giving my sons and our family the closure it's absolutely a miracle that we were able to have. Thank you.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. As you can tell, the Civil Air Patrol's mission is very much like search and rescue missions in the Air Force overseas. These are operational missions, whether it's to support lost hikers, whether it's to look for emergency locator beacons, whether it's to find and extract down aircraft. That is the operational mission they perform. All of this is done on a volunteer basis. There is no pay for the Civil Air Patrol volunteers, but they are really unpaid professionals that do this. And Madam President, with your indulgence, I would like to introduce, before we have the vote, Colonel Earl Sherwin, who is the commander in Colorado. Colonel Sherwin is the commander of the Civil Air Patrol Colorado Wing.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to move the bill and ask for an aye vote.
The question before the body is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 18. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 18 is adopted. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, and I appreciate the morning roll call be added by unanimous acclamation for co-sponsors.
Any objection? Saying none, the present roll call will be added as co-sponsors to Senate Joint Resolution 18. Third reading of bills. We have some more committee reports. Committee reports.
March 6, 2014, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1103 before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. March 6, 2014, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following Senate Bill 99 be amended as follows and also amended before the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. March 6, 2014, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee, recommends the following House Bill 1077 before the Committee of the Whole favorable recommendation.
Third reading of bills. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 125?
Senate Bill 125 by Senators John and Harvey and Representatives Pabon and Szabo concerning the regulation of transportation network companies and in connection therewith requiring transportation network companies to carry liability insurance, conduct background checks on transportation network company drivers, inspect transportation network company vehicles, and obtain a permit from the Public Utilities Commission and making an appropriation.
Senator John.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Senate Bill 125 on third reading, final passage, and ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion? Senator Harvey.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, thank you for your consideration of this bill. I wanted to point out the front page of the Greeley Trib today. Ironic that this comes out today, but lack of cabs spurs call for competition in Greeley. It talks about Bill Gentry, who helps his son Ryan run 4 downtown Greeley bars, knows firsthand the importance of having cabs readily available for patrons at closing time. Gentry, along with others in the community, said he's concerned that there are no cab services that focus on Greeley, a void that often leaves patrons waiting for taxis for 40 minutes to an hour. We've got some nights 500 young people on this block, downtown Greeley. There's plenty of business to be had, but not when there aren't any cabs. With only a Fort Collins-focused cab company authorized by the PUC to provide an on-call taxi service in Greeley, Gentry and city and business leaders say it's time to bring competition into the city's taxi cab market. Yellow Cab in northern Colorado is the only company allowed to dispatch drivers to pick up patrons without appointments. So if you have an appointment, you can pick them up, i.e. a limousine service. It's the only company with a license to have drivers posted outside establishments at taxi stands. This is one of the reasons why I think this is an important bill. Though, as Senator Hill will come up and say, the senator from El Paso County will come up and say, this is more regulation of a company that isn't regulated right now. I agree with that. I wish we didn't have to have this bill, but we do, because the PUC has said they will put them out of business. But right now, the PUC says that only one taxi cab company can do business in Fort Collins and Greeley, and this taxi cab company pretty much serves only Fort Collins. So if we want to open up competition and allow these new businesses to thrive in Colorado and to provide a service that is certainly needed in Colorado, this bill is necessary. This bill is warranted, and this bill is important for us to pass to provide not only Greeley, but citizens in your towns, citizens in downtown Denver, citizens across the state of Colorado, an alternative to the monopolized regulated taxi cab industry that may not be providing the services that your community wants. So I would ask for an aye vote.
Senator Hill?
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, you just heard the problem in the taxi cab industry is the Public Utilities Commission. And so as a solution, we're going to take innovative entrepreneurial startups and subject them, inflict them with the Public Utilities Commission. I don't see how this is a solution. I ask your permission to offer a third reading amendment.
The question before us is whether or not to grant permission for a third reading amendment. Senator Hill, would you care to explain why you need a third reading amendment?
Absolutely. Madam President, thank you very much. Colleagues, these are important discussions to be had. Uber and Lyft have been mentioned. They're innovative. They're dynamic. You can pull out your phone right now and click, and literally within a matter of minutes, you can have someone come and pick you up on the west steps, or if that doesn't work as well, you prefer to be on the east steps. It's convenient. It increases safety. It increases revenue, income for the drivers. And so our solution, rather than, again, subjecting them to the Public Utilities Commission, as we've already all agreed upon this is a problem, the simple solution right now is to say the Public Utilities Commission has no authority to regulate transportation network companies. Friends, this is no longer an issue. This is not a Republican versus Democrat issue. This is a government versus small business issue. And whenever we have that, the government always wins. This amendment is it's quite simple. Again, it's a strike below that says the Public Utilities Commission has no authority to regulate transportation network companies. Let's do this the smart way. Let's do this the innovative way. Let's do this in a bipartisan way rather than throwing them under the purview of the much esteemed the Public Utilities Commission. So I move Amendment 25.
Further discussion on permission, which is the question right now. Are there any no vote? Senator Steadman.
Thank you, Madam President. Senator, could you explain how the third reading amendment differs from the Committee of the Whole amendment that the committee considered on Friday?
Senator Hill.
There's nothing to discuss there, as there is no difference.
Members, the question is whether or not to grant Senator Hill permission to offer a third reading amendment. Are there any no votes? Senators Guzman. Okay. I do see objection. We'll do, I guess, by voice vote then. All in favor of granting permission, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. Sounds like the noes have it. Well, the gavel has not gone down. Division has been requested. All of those in the chamber who wish to grant permission for Senator Hill to offer a third reading amendment, please stand and remain standing until your vote has been counted. More than 18 having arisen, Senator Hill is granted permission. Senator Hill, please move your amendment.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Amendment 25 and ask for a simple solution to an innovative opportunity we have here in Colorado, rather than applying the levels of bureaucracy and anti-competition measures that the PUC on the front page of multiple papers is repeatedly shown to exhibit here in Colorado.
Mr. Majors, would you please read Amendment L025?
Amendment L025 to Senate Bill 125 by Senator Hill, amend re-engross bill.
Senator Hill has moved it. Any discussion? Senator John.
Thank you, Madam President. I would just ask for a no vote. We had a really thorough discussion on this exact same issue on Friday. And the other thing I'll say is that I don't believe this is where we pick and choose. If the entire transportation industry needs to be opened up and looked at, then so be it. That's not this bill. Right now, we need to make sure that this, the TNC companies can stay in Colorado. They have been issued an order. And so that's what this bill is about. If we want to talk about the entire transportation system, then we can do that in another bill. With that, I'll ask for a no vote on this amendment.
Further discussion on L025? Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Madam President. I just had a question for the sponsor of this. Under Article 5, the PUC does have the right to send a letter of to stop it. Yeah, to desist. Would this amendment actually affect that? And the reason they can put that letter up for cease and desist is if that transportation network company has a violation. That's the only regulation they have over them now. If there's a violation, but what I want to know is, does this amendment actually eliminate all PUC regulatory, even that amendment? And I would ask that the Article 5 stay in place on the cease and desist on violations. Thank you.
Further discussion? Question for the body. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Out of courtesy, I voted to allow this amendment to proceed. I would thoroughly, however, ask for a no vote.
Question is the adoption of L025. Are there any no votes? Senators John Nicholson, Mr. Majority Leader, Mr. Minority Leader. Senators Nicholson, Talktrap, Senator John, I've got you. Madam President Pro Tem, Senators Aguilar, Stedman, King, Roberts, Rivera, Kerr, Johnston, Jones, Ulibarri, Zenzinger, Kafalis, Newell, Hodge, Todd, Schwartz. Please add the President. Senator Lambert. With 12 ayes, 23 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, L025 fails. Question is the adoption of Senate Bill 125. Are there any no votes? Senator Kafalis, Senator Jones, Senator Nicholson, Senator Kerr, Senator Hill, Senator Crowder. With 29 ayes, 6 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 125 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Johnston. Senator Rivera, co-sponsor. Senator Aguilar. Senator Lambert. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1172?
House Bill 1172 by Representative Lawrence and Senator Stedman concerning exempting certain public safety departments from certain statutory requirements related to the impact of a criminal conviction on state employment opportunities.
Senator Stedman.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1172 on third reading and final passage.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of House Bill 1172 on third reading. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1172 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Ulibarri. Madam President Pro Tem. Please add the President. General orders, second reading of bills. Senator Kerr. You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into a committee of the whole for purpose of considering general orders, second reading of bills calendar, and Senator Kerr will take the chair.
I hit it that hard, it would be all over the place. The committee will come to order and the call rule is relaxed. Majority Leader Heath.
I think we have to read Senate Bill 16 first.
Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 16?
Senate Bill 16 by Senator Aguilar and Representative Moreno concerning the ability of certain healthcare facilities to provide emergency services outside a hospital setting.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move we lay over Senate Bill 16 until Friday, March 14th.
Is there any discussion? The motion is to lay over Senate Bill 16 to Friday. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 16 will be laid over until Friday. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 32.
Senate Bill 32 by Senator Lundberg concerning elimination of restrictions on the ability of alternative health care providers to treat children.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 32 and the committee report from Health and Human Services.
The Health and Human Services Committee report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, just to explain the bill a little bit, it was in its initial form was intended to address some changes that were made to two different sections of the law last year, one concerning unlicensed alternative health care practitioners and the other concerning naturopathic doctors that were licensed just last year, which had very similar measures put on them that prohibited these professionals from treating children under 2. And it also dealt with some of the requirements for children ages 2 to 8. In committee, I realized we needed to do a little bit of discussion, and I appreciate the deference that the chairman of the committee made for that to give us a little more time to work on it. And we came up with an amendment that, albeit was not, didn't satisfy everybody, but it was sufficient to find some common ground, and that is to, so the committee report amends the bill down to a very simple form. If you have the bill before you, you'll discover you've got 4 pages to deal with. Well, the actual, what's left is to simply deal with unlicensed alternative health care practitioners and to eliminate the line that prohibits them from treating children under 2 years of age and places that category in the same status as the ages 2 to 8. So it leaves in place requiring that the alternative health care practitioner obtain a consent form from the parent, disclose that they are not a physician licensed pursuant to Article 36 of Title 12 CRS, recommend that the child have a relationship with a licensed pediatric care health care practitioner. This is what they have to do. Under the terms of the bill, it leaves this in place and places that as the requirement for ages 2 to birth as well, and requires that practitioner to request permission from the parent or legal guardian to attempt to develop and maintain a collaborative relationship with the child's licensed pediatric healthcare provider, essentially their pediatrician. So the rules as they apply today, oh, and then it strikes the naturopathic doctor section entirely. So it only deals with the alternative healthcare providers, and it says to that alternative healthcare provider, you can treat the child under 2 years of age, but you still must go through the procedure of essentially seeking a collaborative relationship with the pediatrician. So the weight of responsibility is on the alternative healthcare practitioner and the parent to say, yes, you can do this, but that's the requirement, that they try to find a collaborative relationship with the pediatrician. And it simply strikes the prohibition against the 2-year-old or the child under 2 years of age. That is the committee report. I'll save the rest of the discussion on the bill till I trust we can accept the committee report and move forward with this much reduced scope of Senate Bill 32.
Further discussion on the Health and Human Services Committee report? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of the Health and Human Services Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The 2 ayes have it over the 1 no, and the committee report is passed. To the bill, Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you for your very judicious discrimination on the determination of the vote for the committee report. It allows us to proceed to discuss the bill in its essence. And its essence is this: should parents have the responsibility and the authority to determine what is the best medical care for their child or not? It's as simple as that. I believe that we stepped over the line on taking away that authority and responsibility from parents for their children from birth to the age of 2. The bill, as it is currently written and amended, is still, as I said during the committee report discussion, still requires the alternative healthcare practitioner to seek collaboration with the pediatrician. Now, the pediatrician isn't forced to collaborate, but we're certainly encouraging them to have that interaction. But this bill acknowledges what I believe should be a given within the state of Colorado, and that is parents have the primary responsibility and authority to determine the best medical care for their children. It kind of reminds me of one person who came to testify on behalf of the bill, and it was an alternative practitioner who noted that she had one patient who was a woman who was pregnant, and everything was going fine, but she had to tell that woman, when your baby is born, your baby cannot be a part of our seeking the best health for yourself and your baby, because the state of Colorado doesn't allow me to have anything to do with your baby until they're 2. This should be up to the parent. It shouldn't be something that's restricted and prohibited, banned, completely off the table for that parent. In this case, this expecting mother was being informed that the state of Colorado says your child cannot be a part of this process at all until they're 2 years of age. And that's not appropriate in my mind. I believe that this is a policy that needs to be corrected, and that's what we have in Senate Bill 32. Thank you.
Further discussion, Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Lundberg. We did lay over this bill in Health Committee because I think it is true that a lot of parents would like to use natural medicine, and I think that doctors need to come into the 21st century and acknowledge that this is a very popular form of treatment for patients. I do, however, have concerns with opening this up for children under 2 for a couple of reasons. First of all, the first 2 years of a child's life are the times at which immunizations are necessary, and as you may have heard in the United States this year, because of a strong anti-immunization movement, we've had some epidemics of diseases we have not had epidemics of before, and I'm afraid that by not having children, parents working closely with their pediatricians for all of their child's care, that this will decrease our rates of immunizations. And the second reason is because, as opposed to adults, tiny doses of things that might seem homeopathic can be dangerous in children. You know, a lot of times people think just because something is over the counter, it's safe. I hope all of you realize that you actually can suffer significant toxicities from Tylenol and aspirin. And with children who are very small, may weigh 10 pounds or less, we're even more concerned about their safety and risks. Additionally, pediatricians look for developmental milestones when they see children. But I did want to at least open the door somewhat for this to happen, and I had offered Senator Lundberg an amendment saying that this could be seen, that these alternative providers could be seen upon referral from pediatricians, and he felt that that was too restrictive. For me, the referral pattern would create two things. First of all, I think it pushes the medical providers to be more open to this, because I know that if my medical provider wouldn't give me the kind of referral I wanted and I really didn't think that their reasoning was sound, I would choose a different medical provider, and that would lead to a change in culture and a change in behavior. And secondly, I think it gives the two a better opportunity to work together and learn from each other. And so for that reason, I did not support this bill out of the Health and Human Services Committee. The final point I would make is that we had two different types of alternative providers that we discussed last year, one of whom have an 8-year education, the other of whom can have no education. And we're opening up our children to those who've had no specific level of education, and I think that's the more dangerous route to take. So I would urge a no vote on Senate Bill 32.
Senator Balmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, members, I rise in opposition to Senate Bill 32. Let me tell you why. When these type of healthcare providers were brought into our statutes, they were brought in through a series of compromises with earlier bills. One of the things that we often do here at the Capitol is we will introduce a bill in one version, and then as that bill makes its way through the process, various compromises are adopted. One of the compromises that was adopted on this area of our law was that children under the age of 2 were specifically excluded. That was part of the compromise in earlier agreements. But now we will be erasing that. So let's do that with our eyes wide open. In other words, an earlier vote that we had last year and the one that was before that, we made the compromises that, yes, we will create these categories, but we won't do it for children under the age of 2. So, but now we're taking that away. So now we have taken that compromise away. So let's just make sure that everybody understands that that's what we're doing. But let's talk about it. Where do we stop with this analogy? Do we believe that there should be any type of distinguishing between a medical doctor and an alternative health care provider? Do we think that there should be any kind of distinguishing? There are some, I'm sure, that would feel that there should not be. Where will we be among the 50 states on that category? Well, truthfully, we will be leading the country in allowing alternative health care providers to treat children under the age of 2. So it is a health issue. We have to make a decision about who is best qualified to treat children. You really don't get another opportunity to diagnose certain childhood diseases. And so I think it's really important that we keep certain types of medical decisions underneath the care of a medical doctor. All of you know that medical doctors go through a great deal of scrutiny to reach that designation. Obviously a lot of education, but also a lot of clinical experience. To become a medical doctor is very difficult. They have entire specialties devoted to treating children under the age of 2. The area of pediatric medicine is a very large subsection of the medical community. I think that we need to make sure that we protect our most innocent, our most fragile children in our society. And so that's why I am a very respectful no vote on Senate Bill 32. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to make, because I really, really want to make sure that the records are clear, that was a very one-sided compromise, if that's what you want to call it. I did not compromise on the bill last year. I felt very rolled on the bill last year, since we're talking about the bill from last year. I was really quite offended last year, and I'm still quite offended this year, that we think that a naturopath is unskilled to treat things such as teething. I mean, we made sure last year that they could not do anything invasive. They cannot prescribe. They cannot do the duties of a medical doctor. We made sure that we kept that very, very tight in statute. This is simply saying that I, as a parent, am really quite smart enough to understand where I need to take my child, and if it's really for a medical procedure, I'm going to go to a medical doctor. I support this bill because this is something that was very definitely my intent last year, and it was compromised by somebody, but I guarantee you it wasn't compromised by me. So I do support Senate Bill 32.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in support of this Bill 32. I heard it also in committee. And the way I reasoned it out was simply this is not there's no question about who's the most qualified. You know, your medical doctor is by far more qualified, but what we're talking about, this is an issue of parental rights. This gives the right to the individual as a parent to decide where to take that child. And if he or she chooses to take that child to a holistic doctor, and that doctor cannot perform on that child, without a doubt, I'm sure they would indicate to the parent to take it to a medical doctor. So it's one more step. And I do not believe that, you know, I do realize there are instances that come along that the child would need a medical doctor, but I think this is a parental right issue, and I'm going to be supportive of it. So I think, you know, I will be a yes vote on 32. Thank you.
Senator Lombard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to speak one more time. I don't want to belabor it too much. I believe there's been a lot of discussion on this bill, not just here, but in preparation for this debate. But let me make you aware of a couple of things. I've served on Health and Human Services committees here in the Senate and in the House, and its predecessor, we used to call it HUIE. Don't even remember what that stands for, but the issues I'm very familiar with. And the reason I ran this bill this year is we stepped over the line last year. We stepped over the line when we prohibited. We didn't just adjust things a little bit. We said to this entire range of healthcare professionals, you cannot touch any citizen or resident in the state of Colorado for the first 2 years of their life, period. That's over the line. Now, I know that an 18-month-old isn't going to be making that decision. It's the parents who are making the decision. But that's the line we stepped over as well, in saying that in our estimation, this range of medical professionals that that we don't have a license category for. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't very qualified and very capable of doing what they do. As a matter of fact, the good senator who serves as chairman of HHS did acknowledge that this is a growing arena of medical care for the people of Colorado. And there are a couple of reasons for this. One is the system today, I'll freely say, is working well for everyone at all times. And part of it is because there are some needs out there that aren't being fulfilled by the standard allopathic systems. Now, let's back off a little bit and look at the world as a whole. Medicine is a much bigger world than what we have within our licensure system here in the state of Colorado. Take a trip to China and look at the medical systems that have developed over thousands of years. Talk to some people in Colorado who have come to the end of their road with other systems and found that there are some other alternatives. That's why it is growing. It is growing, and this bill won't stop that. But what this bill does is it acknowledges that every citizen in the state of Colorado deserves to have the right of access to all medical care available. And when it comes to the very youngest, the gatekeeper should be the parents. Now, we have rules set up on what's appropriate treatment and what is not, what is reserved for a medical doctor, what is reserved for a chiropractor, what is reserved for all of the other licensed medical professions, but the big world outside of that, which, and I don't even have to go as far as China. I can go to some of the Native American healers who have been practicing for centuries at least. Or go to other cultures and you'll find other ways that people have been finding the care, proper care for their health and the health of their families. This ought to be able to continue in the state of Colorado, and we put this roadblock in the way with this amendment that was placed on Senate Bill 215 from last year. And this now, in its amended form, doesn't take all that away because it does leave in place that requirement for that alternative healthcare practitioner to consult or to attempt to consult with the pediatrician. But it doesn't just shut the door, and that's all the bill does. It's really meant to be, the term was used compromise. I don't like to use that much down here, but if you want to find a compromise, I'd say it is Senate Bill 32, because it finds that common ground that still honors what I believe should be a timeless principle for governance in Colorado, and that is parents have the primary authority and the primary responsibility for the care of their children. It's within the context of what's proper medicine and what isn't, but we shouldn't just slam the door in this one arena. And it's for those reasons that I believe this is a debate and a discussion worth having and a bill worth passing. I urge its adoption. Thank you.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to explain my my vote in committee and today that that the bill sponsor was nice enough to compromise on the bill in order to take out the naturopathic doctors whom we regulated last year, because I had made a negotiation, an agreement with the docs last year that that there would be a ban 0 to 2. I will say that there are other states, though, that do this, that do allow care of alternative healthcare providers under the age of 2. I wanted to point out, too, that there are 4 things that when they come to you there are 4 things that they are required to do, which is they have to give disclosure and say, I am not a doctor. They have to say, they have to get parent permission and have it in writing. They also have to suggest that there is a relationship with a pediatrician or a family care or nurse practitioner. And then lastly, they're required to collaborate with the medical doctors as well. So I believe that the system does better when we do have collaboration, and then we do have both Western medicine as well as the alternative medicine and care providers together. And that is why I will be an aye vote today.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 32? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 32. Division has been called. Would all of those in the chamber not entitled to vote please be seated? No. Okay, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 32. All those in favor, please stand. More than 18 haven't arisen. The chair is not in doubt. Senate Bill 32 is adopted. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1224. Was it? Oh, I'm sorry, to House Bill 1108 first.
House Bill 1108 by Representative Primavera, Senator Talk Tribe, concerning limits on co-payments made by a covered person for physical rehabilitation services.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move we lay over House Bill 1108 until Friday, March 14th.
Motion before the body is to lay over 1108 until Friday, March 14th. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1108 will be laid over until Friday. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1224.
House Bill 1224 by Representative Gardner, Senator Herpin, concerning a set-aside goal in state procurement for service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses.
Senator Herpin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1224.
To the bill. Senator Herpin, to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, this bill would create a goal within state procurement of setting aside up to 3% of state contracts based on value to service-disabled veteran small businesses. This bill, I think that the best way for me to sum up the benefits of this bill is to read you a statement that I got from retired Army Lieutenant General Ed Anderson, who is also the Executive Director for Strategic Military Science, Space, and Security Initiatives at the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs. I'd like to officially inform you that I strongly support this bill. My support is based on the fact that I believe this bill will serve as an incentive for our service-disabled veterans to start their own small businesses, which ultimately benefits them, but also benefits our state. Without this bill, my fear is that our service-disabled veterans will feel handicapped in the procurement competition in Colorado. My strong belief is that our SDVs have made incredible sacrifices for our nation and for Colorado, and we should do everything we can to assist them as they try to reconstruct their lives and become productive and contributing citizens. That is all they want, and that is what this bill provides. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Herpin. Is there further discussion on House Bill 1224? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1224. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no? No! The noes have it. 1224 is defeated. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No.
Oh. Yeah. Thank you. I move we rise and report.
Motion before the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee will rise and report. In all one piece. Yep.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. I move, after having a number of bills under consideration, I move we adopt the Committee of the Whole report.
Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
March 10, 2014, Madam President, your Committee of the Whole pays the report that in consideration of the following attached bills, making second reading thereof, make following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 32 is amended and passed on second reading in order and gross placed on the counter for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 16, House Bill 1108, laid over until March 14, 2014, retaining the place on the counter. House Bill 1224, lost on second reading.
Members, there's an amendment on the desk. I know. Mr. Majors, would you please read us Cow Amendment 1?
Committee of the Whole Amendment 1 is House Bill.
Senator Herpin.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I served I move Herpin Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report.
Proper motion, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. I did spend 15 years in the submarine service. My hearing was damaged doing that service, and I won't talk about my time at the shooting range. Therefore, I may have misunderstood or misheard the vote on House Bill 14-1224. Therefore, I would like to move amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole that 14-1224 as amendment did pass.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. As chair of the Committee of the Whole, I can assure you that my hearing is spot on today. I think we could even ask the good senator from Loveland about my hearing ability today. I hear him as I said. I hear him as I call him, and I called this one right. So I have to apologize to the good senator from El Paso County, but I called it as I heard it. Or heard it, called it, yes.
Senator Grantham.
Thank you, Madam President, and I will take the senator at his word whether his hearing is good today or not. But if it is good today, well, there is a first time for everything.
Ooh. All right. Question is the Committee of the Whole amendment to House Bill 1224. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Committee of the Whole Amendment 1 is adopted. Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for adoption of the Committee of the Whole report.
Any discussion? Question is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 32 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1224 passed on second reading and ordered revised, placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 16, House Bill 1108 laid over until March 14th and retaining their place on the calendar. Consideration of House amendments to Senate bills. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 59?
Senate Bill 59 by Senator Guzman and Representative Lawrence concerning eliminating the statute of limitations for offenses that accompany sex offenses that are not subject to a statute of limitations.
Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 59.
That is a proper motion. Please proceed with your explanation.
Thank you, Madam President. The amendment adds language to include delinquent acts, and it also corrects an error. There was the unlawful sexual contact statute 18-3-404 is not in the existing statute of limitations subsection and was accidentally included. This would delete it from the bill. And then the amendment also separates out the current sexual assault statute 18-3-402 and applies these provisions to that statute. It separates in the bill the old second-degree sexual assault statute 18-3-403, which was repealed in 2000 to prevent these provisions from applying to those crimes. This is necessary because case law would prevent its application as originally drafted. So this is why I move the concurrence of the amendment to Senate Bill 59.
Thank you. The question is for the Senate. The motion is for the Senate to concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 59. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate concurs with House amendments to Senate Bill 59. Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the repassage of Senate Bill 59.
That is a proper motion. Question is repassage, Senate Bill 59. Are there any no votes? Senator Stedman, Lundberg, Marble, Hill, Lambert. With 30 ayes, 5 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 59 is readopted. Additional co-sponsors. Senator King, I've got you. Okay. Senator Rivera. Consideration of governor's appointments. Mr. Majors, would you please read the appointments to the Colorado Water Conservation Board?
Members of the Colorado Water Conservation Board effective February 12, 2014 for term expiring February 12, 2017. April D. Montgomery of Norwood, Colorado, a resident of the San Miguel Dolores San Juan Drainage Basin and as a Democrat reappointed. Travis L. Smith of Del Norte, Colorado to serve as a representative from the Rio Grande Drainage Basin and as a Republican reappointed. Alan C. Hamill of Pueblo, Colorado to serve as representative from the Arkansas Drainage Basin and as a Republican reappointed.
Senator Schwartz.
And thank you, Madam President. And I move for the confirmation, Senate confirmation of April D. Montgomery of Norwood, Colorado, Travis L. Smith of Del Norte, Colorado, Alan C. Hamill of Pueblo, Colorado, for their reappointment to the CWCB and also to acknowledge their the incredible commitment and work that this the Conservation Board performs on behalf of the state, and ask for an aye vote of confirmation.
Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes on any of the appointments? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, April D. Montgomery, Travis L. Smith, and Alan C. Hamill are confirmed to the Colorado Water Conservation Board. Message from the House.
March 10, 2014, Madam President, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted the advisory statutes. House Bill 1141 is amended and 1105 is amended. The House has passed on third reading and returns herewith Senate Bills 90, 95, 112, 24, 31, 97, 138, 121, and 96.
Message from the Reviser.
March 10, 2014, we herewith transmit without comment as amended House Bills 1105 and 1141.
Signing of bills.
March 7, 2014, the President signed Senate Bills 39, 47, 48, 52, 76, and 83, House Bills 1051, 1073, 1121, and 1122.
Delivery to the Governor.
March 10, 2014, to the Governor for signature on Monday, March 10, 2014, at 9:12 a.m., Senate Bills 39, 47, 48, 52, 76, and 83.
Message from the governor.
March 7, 2014, to the Honorable Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to inform you that I have approved and filed with the Secretary of State the following joint resolution. Senate Joint Resolution 4 concerning approval of water project revolving fund eligibility list administered by the Colorado Water Resources Power Development Authority, approved March 7, 2014 at 1:58 p.m. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Announcements. Senator Totrop.
Thank you, Madam President. May I have a moment of personal privilege?
Granted.
Thank you. And I have a Senate joint resolution here, and we're talking about Restless Leg Syndrome, which is called the Willis-Ekborn Disease Awareness Day. What we want to do this is designate that September 23rd will be known as Restless Leg Syndrome dash Willis-Ekborn Disease Awareness Day in the state of Colorado. Restless leg syndrome is a chronic neurological disorder characterized by unpleasant sensation in the legs and a depressing oral urge to move them continuously. And 10 million adults in the United States and millions of others worldwide are affected by this syndrome. The disease, which is there is no known cure. Very difficult to diagnose, and it has a very significant impact on sleep, concentration, and productivity, with approximately 60% of the patients waking 3 or more times a night, and almost 50% reporting that symptoms adversely affect their concentration the next day. Increased awareness and expanded knowledge of the realities of life with this syndrome will allow communities to better support people who struggle with the challenges. And with that, I am just asking, reading the House and Senate joint resolution, and we don't vote on them, do we?
You can. We could read from the tribute.
Yeah, and I will read from the tribute quickly. Thank you. The State of Colorado, the Senate and House of Representatives, convened in the second regular section of the 69th General Assembly, hereby extends heartiest recognition and proud to honor the Restless Leg Syndrome Willis-Ekborn Disease Awareness Day. Restless leg syndrome, also known as Willis-Ekborn disease, is a chronic neurological disorder with no known cure that affects an estimated 10 million adults in the United States and millions worldwide. It is characterized by unpleasant sensations in the leg and a distressing, irresistible urge to move that has a significant impact on sleep, concentration, and productivity. Support for restless leg syndrome has grown over the past years thanks to the efforts by organizations like the Willis-Ekborn Disease Foundation, formerly the Restless Leg Syndrome Foundation that have promoted restless leg syndrome awareness through education, diagnosis, and research. To help raise awareness of restless leg syndrome, September 23rd, 2014 will be designated as Restless Leg Syndrome Disease Awareness Day in the state of Colorado. And this was presented on the request of me and Senator Diana Primavera, given the 7th day of March 2014 at the state capitol. Thank you.
Thank you. Other announcements? Senator Newell.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a reminder, today is Children's Caucus at noon. We are covering adoptions in the state and also a follow-up on the Child Fatality Review Team, and that is in room 356. See you there at noon.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, we didn't have enough copies for all the Civil Air Patrol material, but we have some of their monthly magazine on the back stand there where the newspapers are, some other handouts here about crisis in Colorado, some of their anecdotal stories about the flood response and so forth. So if you're at all interested in that, please help yourself to a copy in the back.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a number of announcements reference committees. Yes on the JBC, yes on the Judiciary, but they're not hearing House Bill 1069. State Veterans and Military Affairs is meeting, but they will be laying over Senate Bill 139 until March 10th. So they're only going to be hearing Senate Bill 42. There's not going to be any business, labor, and technology committee meeting this afternoon at all. And in local government, this is for tomorrow, House Bill 1130 will be heard on the 13th and not tomorrow, the 11th. So that's a lot of announcements, reference committees. Do you have something you wish to add, sir?
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, the latest information we have is we actually will be starting Joint Budget Committee at 1:30 this afternoon, 1:30 start. That's a change.
So not on adjournment.
Majority Leader.
Okay, so 1:30. And now let me just give you a quick heads up on tomorrow. I think we all know that we're going to be doing the memorial for Senator Ken Gordon tomorrow. And I will announce we'll convene tomorrow as normal at 9 a.m. And we'll go through normal roll call and stuff. And then Senator Stedman will be doing Senate Joint Memorial 1 in honor of Senator Gordon here. And immediately following that, we're going to adjourn and go to the House. And in the House, we're going to be given an opportunity to speak on Senator Gordon's behalf. We will not be speaking here. Senator Stedman will be presenting it here. So all of the activities, and it's going to be quite a morning. And my guess is we will be there all morning in the House. So just for your planning purposes, that's the way it looks as of now. So, Madam President, with that, I move that the Senate adjourn until 9 a.m. Tuesday, March 11th.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will adjourn until 9 a.m. tomorrow, Tuesday, March 11th.